and welcome. You're watching 6 Stories at 6 with me, Akanksha Khajuri, and this evening we begin with the British F35 fighter jet that has been stranded in Kerala from the last 21 days. Engineering team are now on the ground and it remains to be seen what the next fate of this fighter jet will be next. India's biggest medical scam has exploded in open. We will get you the full breakdown and go live to our reporter. And it's Dalai Lama's 90th birthday today, and we will show you the visuals of the celebrations all across the country. A strong message also given to China. And also Prime Minister Modi has touched down in Brazil for the BRICS summit. What's on the agenda? We will get you all the details. And tech billionaire Elon Musk has launched his own political party to challenge Donald Trump in the United States. The shocking announcements that's shaking up the United States. And finally, monsoon mayhem has wreaked havoc in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Rescue operations are currently underway in Mandi in Himachal Pradesh. These are the 6 stories that we are tracking for you at 6 p.m. today. Let's get started. Now, it's been 21 days since the British F-35B fighter jet has been stranded in the state of Kerala, and today a new chapter unfolds. A massive Royal Air Force aircraft landed in Trivandrum at the Thiruvananthapuram International Airport, carrying a team of 31 experts from United Kingdoms. The mission is to inspect the jet and decide its fate. Now, the question is, will it fly out on its own or after the repair, or will it be lifted away for good, is something that remains to be seen as far as this F-35B fighter jet is concerned. Remember, it's been stranded in Kerala at Trivandrum International Airport from the last 21 days, but engineering teams are now on the ground and they will be carrying out the repair work and it will be taken back to the United Kingdom later. So let me give you more details about the repair work that will be undertaken by this UK team. Firstly, look at the visuals. Those are the visuals. On your left-hand side is that of the F-35 fighter jet that remains stranded in the state of Kerala from the last 21 days. But there's been a movement today. In fact, what we're learning is that earlier today, 31-member team of engineers from the United Kingdom landed at this airport. This plane has taken off, but now the engineers are on the ground and the repairment work will be undertaken by them. Whether there will be dismantling of F-35 fighter jet is something that remains to be seen, but the repair work will be done and then this will be taken to the United Kingdom in the coming week is what we are learning. Well, there on the screen you can see A400M. Now that's the aircraft that was carrying all the equipments, all the material and the engineers as well and brought them to Kerala. Now repair work will be carried out. Let me go across to my colleague Ashwin, who's been tracking every single detail of the story. Ashwin, tell us about the repair work, because all the focus will be on the repair work by the engineers now. After that, this aircraft will be taken to the United Kingdom. Give us more details on that.
In fact, this crew of 31 people have arrived in the afternoon today. And for the first time, there has been a clarity that out of this 31 members, a few people have stayed back. 10 to 14 is what we are hearing. The confirmed number is 14, is what we're hearing from the airport authorities. And 14 members have stayed back. The remaining members have gone back. And in this process, while we were watching what was happening, we could also see some equipments being taken into the A400 before it left Thiruvananthapuram. What we also saw that there were a lot of people who entered the aircraft and then it left at around 4:30 p.m. today. Now, the F-35, what we see on the screen right now, it has been moved to the Air India hangar and at around 2:30 p.m. today. And we have got confirmation that the 14-member team will now be working to repair it. And if it is possible to repair it successfully, then it will take it flight back to the mothership, which is the mothership aircraft carrier, which is the Prince of Wales, which is right now at Singapore. So it is likely that it will return to Singapore by itself. If there is further delay, then it will be in the onus of UK to decide what to do with this flight, whether they need to airlift it to another location. But Absolutely. What we know so far is that a 14-member team is working on it. and they will be staying in the city for the few days to look into the repair work of this particular fifth generation stealth fighter jet.
Well, absolutely. All the focus will be on the repair work of this fighter jet. Thank you, Ashwin, for all the details. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. Now, shifting our focus, the Central Bureau of Investigation has unearthed one of India's biggest medical scams, exposing a nationwide racket involving fake inspections, crores paid in bribes. The scam, in fact, spans across multiple states, including Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, the national capital, UP and Karnataka as well. And according to the Central Bureau of Investigation, certain officials of the Health Ministry and the members of NMC inspection team, in conspiracy with the middlemen and representatives of various private medical colleges, were engaged in corrupt practices to extend favors to the institution. Now, following this, the agency has also filed FIR against 35 individuals, including the former UGC chairman, current Tata Institute of Social Sciences Chancellor, and a self-styled godman, Rawatpura Sarkar. The Central Bureau of Investigation began the investigation in this case at the Rawatpura Sarkar Institute of Medical Sciences and Research in Udaipur, where CBI caught several individuals, including 3 doctors, accepting bribe of 55 lakh rupees and issuing a favorable inspection report as well. So CBI has unearthed the biggest medical scam in the history of the country, and we are seeing that in the scanner is in fact one godman and several doctors and also officials from the NMC.
The Central Bureau of Investigation has unearthed one of the biggest medical scams in the history of our country, spanning across multiple states in India. Several bigwigs have been named in the FIR, including a self-styled godman in the center of the scam. In this sensational CBI probe exposing the rot in India's medical education system, a nationwide bribery racket has come to light, implicating top names. Senior officials, middlemen, and top educationists are part of this biggest scam. This multi-crore scam was stretched from Rajasthan, Gurgaon, and Indore to Warangal and Visakhapatnam. Crores exchanged through hawala and banking routes, all to secure illegal approvals for substandard medical colleges. It started when the CBI arrested 3 doctors for taking 55 lakh rupees as bribe to give a good inspection report to a college that was linked to a self-styled godman, Ravi Shankar Maharaj.
CBI की 3 जो बेंच मतलब है दिल्ली की, उन्होंने एक शिकायत की है किसी मयूर रावल के नाम पर, जो उदयपुर के किसी संस्थान का डायरेक्टर है या वहाँ का रजिस्ट्रार है, और ये बताया गया है इस पूरे उसमें कि खाली सिर्फ रावतपुरा सरकार का नहीं है। आरोप ये लगाया गया है कि जो निरीक्षण समिति गुप्त रहती है, पूरी तरह से किसी को बताया या डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया जाता है, उस डिस्क्लोज किसी ने किया है। अब किसने किया है उसकी जांच की जा रही है, और ये बताया गया है कि जो रावतपुरा सरकार यूनिवर्सिटी में जो लोगों को जांच करना था मेडिकल कॉलेज में, रावतपुरा मेडिकल कॉलेज में, वो डॉक्टर्स की जो 4 लोगों की टीम थी, वो 4 लोगों ने रिश्वत ली है कि उनके जो मानक स्तर सही था या नहीं था, उनके फेवर में रिपोर्ट बनाने के लिए।
The CBI caught the doctors red-handed, recovering 38.38 lakhs from an aide of the inspection team head and 16.62 lakh rupees from another official's residence. What started in Udaipur quickly ballooned into a national scandal. The CBI has found a deep-rooted network of information leaks, dummy inspections, bribery, and criminal conspiracy involving multiple layers of the regulatory system. The modus operandi was deceptively simple but highly effective. Fake inspections were arranged using middlemen who acted as government-appointed assessors. Meanwhile, dummy faculty members and falsified documentation were used to deceive regulatory authorities. This isn't just a story of bribes and approvals. It's a wake-up call for a nation whose public health and educational future hangs in the balance.
Let me go across to my colleague Satya Vijay, who joins us live in the broadcast from Bhopal. Satya Vijay, tell us about the scam because it is being touted as India's biggest medical scam. It also involves a godman. NMC officials, give us more details.
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल। देखिए, सीबीआई ने जो एक खुलासा किया है, जो मेडिकल स्कैम का कह सकते हैं, एक बड़ा मेडिकल कॉलेज स्कैम है जिसका खुलासा सीबीआई ने किया है। सीबीआई ने एक साथ 6 राज्यों के 40 लोकेशन पर सर्च किया और इस सर्च के बाद 6 लोगों को अरेस्ट किया है। इन 6 लोगों में 3 डॉक्टर हैं और 3 बिचौलिए या मिडिलमैन की भूमिका वाले लोग हैं, जो कि कॉलेज को मान्यता दिलाने की आड़ में इस तरह का घूसखोरी का एक पूरा नेटवर्क चला रहे थे। और इस पूरे घटनाक्रम में चूंकि ये इसकी शुरुआत हुई है छत्तीसगढ़ के रायपुर राजधानी जो है वहां स्थित रावतपुरा सरकार मेडिकल कॉलेज से, क्योंकि रावतपुरा सरकार मेडिकल कॉलेज में ही मान्यता के लिए रिश्वत की डील की जा रही थी और इस डील को खुद रावतपुरा सरकार ही कर रहे थे। उनके खिलाफ भी प्रकरण दर्ज कर लिया है सीबीआई ने, हालांकि अभी वो गिरफ्त से बाहर है। लेकिन इसमें कई और लोग, जैसा कि मैंने बताया कि 6 राज्यों में एक साथ 40 लोकेशन पर सीबीआई ने रेड की थी और दिल्ली सीबीआई की टीम इस पूरे मामले को देख रही। तो ऐसे में मामला काफी गंभीर है, क्योंकि कई और ऐसे कॉलेज है, न सिर्फ मध्य प्रदेश में, छत्तीसगढ़ में, राजस्थान में, दिल्ली में, बेंगलुरु में, जहां पर कि इस तरह से मेडिकल कॉलेज को मान्यता के लिए रिश्वत का खेल चल रहा था। मतलब कि कॉलेज के पास वो पूरे संसाधन, वो पूरे मानक नहीं होते, इसके बाद भी उनके फेवर में रिपोर्ट बना के सबमिट की जाती थी और फेवर की रिपोर्ट बनाने के लिए ही ये पूरा रिश्वत का खेल होता था। और सबसे बड़ी बात ये कि ये जो फिलहाल मामला सामने आया, इसमें जो 6 लोग अरेस्ट हुए हैं, इनके पास जो पैसा पहुंचा है वो हवाला के जरिए पहुंचा है। तो इसमें दूसरी एजेंसियां भी इन्वॉल्व हो सकती है। कुल मिलाकर खैर अभी बड़ा एक मेडिकल कॉलेज स्कैम है जिसके तार मध्य प्रदेश, छत्तीसगढ़, दिल्ली, बेंगलुरु, राजस्थान तक जुड़े हुए हैं। इंदौर में भी एक इंडेक्स मेडिकल कॉलेज है, उसके जो चेयरपर्सन है वो भी इस सीबीआई रेड के बाद से फरार है। तो चूंकि शुरुआत इस स्कैम की खुलासे की जो शुरुआत है वो रायपुर से हुई है, रावतपुरा सरकार मेडिकल कॉलेज की मान्यता से हुई है। लेकिन कई ऐसे और मेडिकल कॉलेज हैं, स्वास्थ्य मंत्रालय के कुछ ऐसे अधिकारी हैं, इसके अलावा राष्ट्रीय चिकित्सा आयोग जो कि निरीक्षण करने पहुंचता है ऐसे मेडिकल कॉलेज के, उसके कुछ लोग इन्वॉल्व हैं। ऐसे कई तमाम लोग हैं जिन पर अब शिकंजा कसेगा और इनकी गिरफ्तारी जल्द से जल्द होगी।
Absolutely. More agencies could be involved because there's the money laundering angle as well. Thank you so much for all the details. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. Shifting our focus, Dalai Lama celebrating his 90th birthday in Himachal Pradesh's Dharamshala along with thousands of Tibetan Buddhists, Union Minister and Hollywood celebrities as well. Take a look at this report.
The world is celebrating the 90th birthday of Tibetan spiritual leader, the 14th Dalai Lama. And a celebration event was organized in Himachal Pradesh's Dharamshala. From top politicians to Hollywood celebrities in attendance, the celebratory event was witnessed by the entire world. Hollywood actor and practicing Buddhist Richard Gere also received blessings from the 14th Dalai Lama.
A joyous, joyous day to celebrate this extraordinary life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. But also the presence of all the extraordinary people here in the spiritual community, secular community, all these wonderful diplomats and representatives from around the world come here to pay their respects to one of the most extraordinary people who have ever walked on this planet.
Addressing the event, Union Minister of Minority Affairs Kiran Rijiju lauded the Tibetan spiritual leader and called him a living bridge between ancient wisdom and modern world.
Your Holiness, you are more than a spiritual leader. You are a living bridge between ancient wisdom and the modern world. For over 7 decades, you have carried the light of Buddha's teachings with humility and clarity, guiding not only followers of Tibetan Buddhism, but people of all faith and backgrounds towards a more compassionate and ethical way of life.
Following by Rijiju's address, Union Minister Lallan Singh highlighted that a multidisciplinary center based on the Nalanda tradition is being built in Bodh Gaya to promote the fusion of Tibetan and Indian ancient wisdom.
आप वर्तमान और भविष्य की पीढ़ियों को विवेक, ज्ञान और अहिंसा के मार्ग पर चलने के लिए प्रेरित करते रहे।
Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama, has been living in exile since he fled Chinese rule in Tibet in 1959. He also said that the next Dalai Lama should be found and recognized as per past Buddhist traditions, blocking Beijing's interference in Tibet's religious matters. China, which views the 14th Dalai Lama as a separatist, has repeatedly said that it alone has the authority to approve the next spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism.
Now let's take you to Brazil. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has touched down in Brazil on the fourth leg of his five-nation tour. His visit began with the engagement at the BRICS summit, followed by a state visit to Brasilia. From strategic talks to a vibrant diaspora outreach, the visit marks a significant step in deepening India's ties with Brazil and the global south. Watch this.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi landing in Brazil, the fourth leg of his five-nation tour. This being Prime Minister Modi's fourth visit to Brazil and the first state visit by any Indian Prime Minister in nearly 60 years. Prime Minister Modi was accorded a ceremonial welcome at Rio's Jaleo International Airport, a diplomatic gesture underscoring bilateral warmth. In a post on social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi said, "Landed in Rio de Janeiro, where I will take part in the BRICS summit and later go to their capital Brasilia for a state visit on the invitation of President Lula. Hoping for a productive round of meetings and interactions during the visit." Upon his arrival at the hotel, Prime Minister Modi received a vibrant welcome from the Indian diaspora, greeted by chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Honestly, we are very excited and we found ourselves very privileged and honored to receive our Prime Minister Modi ji. And I would say, sabka saath, sabka vikas. Obviously, PM Modi, he is our role model. Basically, as I told you, that we are from Gujarat, and for us, Modi ji, he is like a role model for us.
People gathered with garlands and cheers, marking a moment of pride. Prime Minister Modi addressed the diaspora members, greeting families and children under fluttering tricolors.
पिछले 10 सालों में जो इंडिया का एक स्टैम्प वर्ल्ड पे है, वो बहुत ही अमेजिंग राइज जो हुआ है, चाहे वो इकोनॉमिकली, पॉलिटिकली, डिफेंस, सब कुछ ही बहुत ही वर्ल्ड स्टेज पे आज की डेट में नजर आता है.
Highlight was a powerful cultural tribute to India's counter-terror initiative Operation Sindoor. Brazilian Indian artists enacted and dramatized the sequences of the Indian security forces confronting terror threats, followed by a patriotic musical finale, a moment that deeply moved PM Modi. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi was also honored with the key to Rio de Janeiro, a ceremonial gesture symbolizing trust and friendship between India and Brazil. The city's mayor presented it amid the applause. Prime Minister Modi is taking part in the 17th BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro on July 6th and 7th, hosted under Brazil's presidency. With 10 full members plus 12 partners and 8 invitees, it's the first summit with the expanded BRICS: Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
From BRICS summit, I expect a lot of bilateral trade happening, and knowledge sharing between the BRIC countries. In this specifically, I look at ethanol, where we are in Brazil. Brazil is a leading player of ethanol. I was just mentioning to someone that way back in 2005, we had first imported ethanol from Brazil into India, my company personally. And now today, we are standing at a point where I'm definitely that in the next few years, we'll be exporting ethanol from India.
This summit has been very interesting summit. And for the last 3 days, we have been having huge interactions among all the BRIC countries participants. We also had interactions with industries, business counterparts, policymakers, and we have been having quite a upbeat response with respect to India.
Key themes at the summit include trade, climate finance, and AI regulation and digital health. India is also pushing for IMF and UNSC reforms, echoing long-standing demands shared with Brazil. Following the summit, Prime Minister Modi will visit Brasilia for a formal state visit. Prime Minister Modi will also hold high-level talks with President Lula on trade, defense, technology, agriculture and energy. Prime Minister Modi's Brazil stopover underscores India's emerging leadership in the global south, pushing for multilateral reforms, promoting currency trade, sustainable energy, artificial intelligence governance, and global health equity, cementing India's role as a strategic partner to Brazil and beyond. In the final leg, Prime Minister Modi will travel to Namibia on last leg of his tour. He earlier visited Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Argentina as part of the five-nation visit.
Now shifting our focus to the United States, Elon Musk, an ex-ally of US President Donald Trump, has launched a new political party in the United States to challenge what the tech billionaire describes as the country's one-party system. The world's richest person and biggest political donor in 2024 election had a bitter fallout with the president over the controversial tax and spending bill. Now Musk has clashed with Donald Trump over the president's massive domestic spending plan, saying that it would explode the United States debt and vote to do everything in his power to defeat the lawmaker who voted for it. Now he has created America Party, in fact, his own political framework through which he will try and achieve that agenda of his. He said, and I quote, "When it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we will live in one-party system, not a democracy. And today, the America Party is formed to give back the freedom to you." Now, it's not clear how much impact the new party would have on the 2026 midterm elections, or for that matter, on the presidential vote 2 years later after that. Now let me go across to Republican strategist Alexander Shajan. Thank you so much for speaking to Republic TV, sir. I want to ask you, Donald Trump's closest ally has now turned his biggest political rival. How concerned should, in fact, Donald Trump be as far as launching of the new party is concerned?
Thank you for having me, and good evening. Listen, Elon Musk was a Democrat initially. He turned out to be a President Trump's supporter because he figured that nothing was happening in the nation for the last 4 years when Biden was in the office. So he was frustrated. He knew President Trump needed to be in the office to fix the issues that we have in the United States. That's why he supported President Trump. But when throughout the campaign trail, President Trump's policy was America first. So the whole issue started. Elon Musk knew what was going to happen when President Trump was speaking throughout the campaign trail about the big, beautiful bill that just passed and became a law. He knew exactly what was happening. It was not a surprise for him. And I'm really shocked to hear when Elon says that it is a surprise. It's absolutely not a surprise. He knew exactly what was going to happen. So the big, beautiful bill is definitely for the American people because President Trump's policy is America first. So when he talked about wasteful spending, I don't understand. Cutting down the expenses by limiting the welfare that was going to the illegal aliens, how can that be a wasteful spending? We are going to save money over that. So when Elon says wasteful spending, nobody understands that. So other problem that he has is the debt ceiling raise. Yes, of course, we're going to have to raise the debt ceiling because we are going to have a deficit. We definitely going to have a revenue deficit, and President Trump has put the trade tariffs and things like that to fix that issue. So it's going to take some time. It's going to definitely take some time before we fix the issue. So another thing is that it's not a uniparty system. Elon said this is a third party. It is not, because we already saw the Green Party is there, the Libertarian Party is there. It has done nothing to the US political system. So I am not sure how he is going to have a mandate on this political party because he needs patience, which he don't have that. He don't have the patience to see the changes that is going to come in the future. He needs a grassroots strategy. That is not there. Plus, out of all the 50 states, they all have different rules for forming and registering the party. So I seriously doubt it's going to be a successful thing. I think Elon was a little hasty about it. He should have stayed with President Trump. He should have supported President Trump because, when he came to the team, he was welcomed wholeheartedly by the President Trump and the MAGA team. So I seriously think he made the biggest mistake ever by forming this new party, which is going to be an utter failure.
Absolutely, you are
I don't
calling
think
this
he's
a
going to-
biggest mistake, but now it appears that Donald Trump versus Elon Musk has escalated. Thank you so much, Mr. Alexander, for speaking to Republic TV. Now shifting our focus back to the country, torrential monsoon rains continue to wreak havoc across Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. In Himachal Pradesh, in fact, the death toll has climbed to 74 and over 3,000 people are still missing. In the worst-hit Mandi district, rescue operations are intensified as the authorities are scrambling to locate at least 30 individuals feared to be trapped under the debris following flash floods and cloud bursts earlier this week in the Mandi area. Search teams from the State Disaster Response Force, SDRF, NDRF, Police, Army, they are all deployed on the ground, but the challenging terrain and damaged infra have severely hampered the efforts as far as the rescue operations are concerned. And today, Kangana Ranaut, who's the MP of Mandi, visited the flood-affected area. Listen in to what she said.
देखिए, हमारी जो केंद्र सरकार है उन्होंने इमीडिएटली, चाहे वो कितने आर्मी रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन किए हों, आपने देखा है कितनी भारी तादाद में जो है यहाँ पे आज भी हम लोग करसोग से लेके इस एरिया से लेकर हर तरीके से जो है राशन हो गया या कंबल हो, इस तरह की चीज़ें आवंटित करना। उसके साथ ही हमारे जो जितनी भी हमारी जो पार्टी के नेता है, बड़े बड़े नेता हैं, उनको लेकर एक टीम बनाई हुई है सब अफेक्टेड एरिया में, जिनके अपने चेयरमैन हैं, उनके अपने जो हैं सब मेंबर्स हैं। तो उस टीम के रहते हुए हम भी यहाँ पे पहुँचे हैं और आपको यू कैन बी रेस्ट अश्योर्ड कि चाहे प्रधानमंत्री जी बाहर के देशों के दौरे पे है, उनकी टीम को हमने पूरा तरह से इसके बारे में बताया है कि यहाँ पे ऐसी ऐसी त्रासदी हुई है, तो रिलीफ फंड दिया जाएगा। हम लोग जो एक मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट का मेन काम होता है, हर एक के अपने अपने काम होते हैं, लोग लीडर्स के अपने काम होते हैं, MLAs के अपने काम होते हैं। जो MP का जो मेन काम होता है वो ये होता है कि सेंटर से जो है वो फंड लाना और सेंटर तक अपनी बात पहुँचाना। तो वो काम जो है वो मैं पूरी सक्षमता से करूंगी और चाहे वो होम मिनिस्टर जी तक इस बात का पूरी इस त्रासदी का वो देना या प्रधानमंत्री जी तक पहुंचाना। और मुझे पूरी इस बात का विश्वास है कि वो कोई कमी नहीं छोड़ेंगे हिमाचल को फिर से अपने पैरों पे खड़ा करने के लिए।
And this is all we could pack for you in this bulletin of 6 at 6. We'll be back tomorrow with more such stories. Till then, keep watching Republic TV.
In the India Today Best Universities Survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi and National Law School Bengaluru.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
After the massive success of Operation Sindoor, which underlined India's dominance in the skies, another story is quietly unfolding within the Indian Air.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
The Royal Navy's F35B stealther fighter towed to a hangar team of British technicians in India to repair the jet. India's largest medical scam busted by the CBI, crores in bribes, top officials and godmen involved. One person dead while 4 others were injured in an explosion at a firecracker factory in Tamil Nadu's Virudanagar. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Brazil to attend the BRICS summit. Trump's tariffs likely to be top focus. Elon Musk announces new political party, names it America Party, says objective to give people back their freedom. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Live and Breaking with me, Krutat Patnaik, at 6:30 p.m. this Sunday evening. A top breaking news update is coming in. A massive controversy has broken out over the Udaipur files, a film about the brutal murder of tailor Kanhaiya Lal. While Jamaat-e-Ulema-e-Hind has moved to court demanding a ban on the controversial film, The Udaipur Files, Kanhaiya Lal's family and the producer of the film have reached Patna's Sanatan Mahakumbh, seeking an intervention from Dhirendra Shastri and asking for his support against Arshad Madni's fatwa. Meanwhile, Vishwa Hindu Parishad has come out in support of the film and has called Jamaat's decision hypocrisy. That's the big breaking news development coming in on the new movie that is coming into theatres called The Udaipur Files, that follows the tragic murder of tailor Kanhaiya Lal in Udaipur by radical elements. Now his family is pledging and requesting Hindu groups to come out in support for the release of this movie. They have reached Patna and are now requesting support from Dhirendra Shastri at the Sanatan Mahakumbh conference there, requesting support against Jamaat-e-Ulema-e-Hind, which has released a fatwa against the release of this movie on a very sensitive issue in India. That's the big breaking news development that we are tracking right now. A massive controversy broken out over the Udaipur Files.
मैं यश साहू कन्हैया लाल जी का बड़ा बेटा। मुझे कल ही पता चल गया था कि हमारी जो मूवी आ रही है 11 जुलाई को उदयपुर फाइल्स, उसके खिलाफ देवबंद से कोई फतवा जारी हुआ है। और मतलब कब तक चलेंगे ये फतवे? पहले जो फतवा लगा था 28 जून को मेरे पिताजी के खिलाफ लगा था, उसका नतीजा हम देख चुके हैं क्या हुआ मेरे पिताजी के साथ। उसके बाद आज ये मूवी आ रही है, इसके खिलाफ फतवा लग चुका है। तो क्या मतलब देश मतलब संविधान से नहीं इन फतवों से ही चलेगा क्या? और कब तक ऐसा चलता रहेगा? तो कहीं ना कहीं ये फतवे जो है वो देश के संविधान के खिलाफ ही है। और मैं चाहूंगा कि देश के जो प्रधानमंत्री है वो इन फतवों के खिलाफ एक संज्ञान ले और ये जो फतवे जारी करने वाले लोग हैं इनके खिलाफ रिपोर्ट लिखाई जाए और इनके सबके खिलाफ एक कड़ा डिसीजन होना चाहिए कि देश फतवों से नहीं संविधान से चलेगा। और आज हम पटना आए हुए हैं धीरेन्द्र शास्त्री जी के कार्यक्रम में। तो क्या मैं ये जानना चाहूंगा कि जिस तरीके से इन आतंकवादियों के साथ इनके मौलाना वगैरह सब कुछ खड़े हो जाते हैं, इनका सपोर्ट करते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं कमलेश तिवारी के केस में भी देवबंद वाले ही इनके वकील हैं। तो जो देश के जो संत लोग हैं क्या ये हमारा साथ देंगे और क्या उदयपुर फाइल्स का सपोर्ट करेंगे?
On this breaking news development story, I am being joined by the spokesperson of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Vinod Bansal ji. Vinod ji, a big controversy is emerging. उदयपुर फाइल्स मूवी पर रोक लगाने की मांग कर रही है जमात-ए-उलेमा-ए-हिंद। उन्होंने फतवा भी जारी किया है और कन्हैया लाल जी की जो परिवार हैं वो अब सभी हिंदू लीडर्स के पास जाकर मदद मांग रहे हैं। वो सनातन कॉन्फ्रेंस में भी पहुंच चुके हैं पटना में। विश्व हिंदू परिषद की क्या प्रतिक्रिया है इस पर?
देखिए, ये बड़ा दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण मसला है कि इस्लामिक जिहादियों की पैरोकारी संस्था लगातार आतंकवादियों को बचाने में और आतंकवाद को प्रोत्साहन देने में लगी हुई है। जिस प्रकार से जो कन्हैया लाल की जो हत्या हुई वो उस नृशंस हत्या को 3 वर्ष से अधिक समय बीत गया, लेकिन आज तक इनके मुंह में से एक संवेदना का स्वर नहीं निकला कि वो इस्लामिक जिहादी है जिसने न सिर्फ कन्हैयालाल की हत्या करी बल्कि खंजर लहराते हुए लाइव माननीय प्रधानमंत्री तक को धमकी दी थी। ऐसे इस्लामिक जिहादी साफ साफ सामने नजर आ रहे हैं। उसकी सच्चाई अगर जनता के सामने आती है तो ये जो जमीयत उलेमा हिंद जैसे संगठन जो है ना, लगातार उपद्रवी मानसिकता के साथ बाहर आते हैं। आप सोचिए कि अगर कोई फिल्म के माध्यम से जिहाद की सच्चाई, जिहादियों की सच्चाई और ये आतंकवाद आतंकवाद की अगर मान लो पर्दाफाश होता है तो इनको क्यों तकलीफ हो रही है? जब सरतंत्रता की गैंग इन्होंने चलाई थी तब तो ये नहीं बोले। आखिरकार जितने सारे कन्हैयालाल और जो महाराष्ट्र के
Ji, thank you very much, Vinod Bansal ji, for your initial remarks coming in on the very big controversy that is emerging over the movie Udaipur Files, based on the murder of Kanhaiya a tailor in Udaipur. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, more breaking news updates coming in from Brazil, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is attending the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. There you have President Lula da Silva receiving Prime Minister Narendra Modi and officially welcoming him with a classic Modi hug in Rio de Janeiro, where the 17th edition of the BRICS Summit is happening. This is Brazil's first time hosting the BRICS Summit. Incidentally, last year during the G20, Brazil was also the host, and just a year later, the grouping has changed, but the warmth and the leaders continue to remain. Prime Minister Narendra Modi there being welcomed and accorded a welcome at the official venue in Rio de Janeiro, where the 17th edition of the BRICS Summit is set to be held today and tomorrow. I have my colleague Akansha joining us live from the newsroom with more details on the story. Akansha, do tell us what's likely to be discussed on the BRICS 2025 agenda, with both Xi Jinping and President Putin being absent.
Absolutely, Krutarth. In the visuals, we can see the Prime Minister, in fact, they're meeting with the Brazilian President. They're shaking hands and hugging it out. As you asked me about the BRICS Summit, this is the 17th edition of the BRICS Summit that will take up issues of global governance reforms, climate change challenges, AI, among other things. And it wants to form a framework to collaborate on expanding cooperation in the areas of health, ethical use of AI to solve the global problems, return as far as the multilateral banks are also concerned. All of these will be discussed during the 17th edition of the BRICS Summit, where we can see the Prime Minister. In fact, he had arrived in Brazil earlier today, and in the visuals we can see that he's meeting with the President of Brazil, shaking hands, and also other officials there as well. But the focus of this summit this year will be global governance, climate, and also AI.
Indeed, Akansha, and also one of the most likely focuses of the BRICS grouping as they come together for the first time since the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor is going to be condemning Pakistan-sponsored cross-border terrorism, with in fact the Prime Minister being in attendance, and India set to resume as the President of BRICS next year. It's also likely to be on the agenda where an official condemnation of Pakistan, something that the Shanghai Cooperative Organization refused to do last week, and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh walked out without a declaration, something that BRICS perhaps in absence of Xi Jinping and President Putin might agree to condemn unequivocally, given that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is the senior-most statesman amongst the founding members of the BRICS. Those are visuals, ladies and gentlemen, coming in from Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, where Prime Minister Modi was received just moments ago by President Lula da Silva on the official venue of the 17th edition of the BRICS Summit. We'll be closely tracking all the developments coming in from Rio for the next 2 days, and with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's action-packed state visit to Brasilia. Remember, this is not just an isolated visit of the Prime Minister. He's on a 5-nation tour. He has just come from Argentina, having talks with President Javier Milei. Right now, he's sharing a very warm welcome with President Lula da Silva. Subsequently, you will see these two leaders on your screens for the next 2 days as well, when Prime Minister Modi will go to Brasilia, the capital of Brazil, where he is going to be welcomed as a state guest, and he's going to be given a full state banquet. Many sources also believe that President Xi Jinping did not attend the BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro because Prime Minister Modi was welcomed as a state guest and not China. He did not want to be allegedly sidelined, and that was also one of the major reasons why he skipped the BRICS Summit in Brazil, despite of being one of the founding members. But we are closely looking at all the complex geopolitical developments that happen in the backdrop of the BRICS Summit. But those are visuals coming in at the moment in Rio de Janeiro, the city that is hosting the 17th edition of BRICS. As my colleague Akansha was telling us just a few moments ago, this entire summit is going to be extremely action-packed, with focus on AI and emerging technologies, climate finance and collaboration on various health initiatives. But at the same time, India is also going to lobby very hardly for official condemnation by the BRICS grouping unequivocally against Pakistan-sponsored cross-border terrorism. That's going to be one of the top agendas there. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India is set to become the BRICS president the next year, taking over the baton from Brazil. So it's going to be a massive development. We will also have visuals of the passing of the baton between President Lula and Narendra Modi during the Leaders Summit meetings once we get the visuals from inside the halls. But the leaders have started arriving at the venue and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived. And Republic will be covering all the details and updates of the BRICS Summit all night tonight to give you the biggest picture, the front row seat to the action that is taking place in Rio de Janeiro, where the BRICS Summit is going to be underway for the next 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, let's stay tuned to these visuals from Rio de Janeiro. And before we move on to more detailed updates, Prime Minister Narendra Modi having touched down in Brazil for the 4th leg of his 5-nation tour, his visit now is beginning engagements with the BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, which will be followed by a state visit to Brasilia. From strategic talks to a vibrant diaspora outreach, the visit marks a significant step in deepening India's ties with Brazil and the global south. And let me show you a very detailed report on how significant is this historic trip of the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi landing in Brazil, the 4th leg of his 5-nation tour. This being Prime Minister Modi's 4th visit to Brazil and the first state visit by any Indian Prime Minister in nearly 60 years. Prime Minister Modi was accorded a ceremonial welcome at Rio's Dalai International Airport, a diplomatic gesture underscoring bilateral warmth. In a post on social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi said, "Landed in Rio de Janeiro, where I will take part in the BRICS summit and later go to their capital Brasilia for a state visit on the invitation of President Lula, hoping for a productive round of meetings and interactions during the visit." Upon his arrival at the hotel, Prime Minister Modi received a vibrant welcome from the Indian diaspora, greeted by chants of Bharat Mata Ki Jai.
Honestly, we are very excited and we found ourselves very privileged and honored to receive our Prime Minister Modi ji. And I would say, sabka saath, sabka vikas. Obviously, PM Modi, he is our role model. Basically, as I told you, that we are from Gujarat, and for us, Modi ji, he is like a role model for us.
People gathered with garlands and cheers, marking a moment of pride. Prime Minister Modi addressed the diaspora members, greeting families and children under fluttering tricolors.
पिछले 10 सालों में जो इंडिया का एक स्टैम्प वर्ल्ड पे है, वो बहुत ही अमेजिंग राइज जो हुआ है, चाहे वो इकोनॉमिकली, पॉलिटिकली, डिफेंस, सब कुछ ही बहुत ही वर्ल्ड स्टेज पे आज की डेट में नजर आता है.
Highlight was a powerful cultural tribute to India's counter-terror initiative Operation Sindoor. Brazilian Indian artists enacted and dramatized the sequences of the Indian security forces confronting terror threats, followed by a patriotic musical finale, a moment that deeply moved PM Modi. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi was also honored with the key to Rio de Janeiro, a ceremonial gesture symbolizing trust and friendship between India and Brazil. The city's mayor presented it amid the applause. Prime Minister Modi is taking part in the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro on July 6th and 7th, hosted under Brazil's presidency. With 10 full members plus 12 partners and 8 invitees, it's the first summit with the expanded BRICS, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
From BRICS Summit, I expect a lot of bilateral trade happening, and knowledge sharing between the BRIC countries. In this specifically, I look at ethanol, where we are in Brazil. Brazil is a leading player of ethanol. I was just mentioning to someone that way back in 2005, we had first imported ethanol from Brazil into India, my company personally. And now today, we are standing at a point where I'm definitely that in the next few years, we'll be exporting ethanol from India.
This summit has been very interesting summit. And for the last 3 days, we have been having huge interactions among all the BRIC countries participants. We also had interactions with industries, business counterparts, policymakers, and we have been having quite a upbeat response with respect to India.
Key themes at the summit include trade, climate finance, and AI regulation and digital health. India is also pushing for IMF and UNSC reforms, echoing long-standing demands shared with Brazil. Following the summit, Prime Minister Modi will visit Brasilia for a formal state visit. Prime Minister Modi will also hold high-level talks with President Lula on trade, defense, technology, agriculture and energy. Prime Minister Modi's Brazil stopover underscores India's emerging leadership in the global south, pushing for multilateral reforms, promoting currency trade, sustainable energy, artificial intelligence governance, and global health equity, cementing India's role as a strategic partner to Brazil and beyond. In the final leg, Prime Minister Modi will travel to Namibia on last leg of his tour. He earlier visited Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, and Argentina as part of the five-nation visit.
Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Brazil isn't the only bilateral visit that we're covering today. The very lonely F-35B fighter jet of the Royal Air Force that has been stranded in Thiruvananthapuram also had visitors from back home. An A400M aircraft of the Royal Air Force, a transport aircraft, received and was arrived in Thiruvananthapuram with a crew of British engineers who are going to attempt to get this stealth aircraft, which has been parked in Thiruvananthapuram for more than 3 weeks now, back in air. Now, sources tell us that perhaps all efforts of repair have fallen to no avail, and now a plan is being devised to dismantle the aircraft in such a way that it can be transported back home inside another big aircraft called the C-17 Globemaster. This is the master plan of the British engineers who are unable to determine what was exactly faulty in this F-35B stealth fighter jet aircraft, and this is the rescue plan that they have come up with. Well, the A400M aircraft, the Atlas 400 that came with the team and the parts perhaps, has now flown back, but the stealth fighter is now being relocated inside a hangar, and subsequently now the repair work and dismantling procedures are expected to be taken place before repatriation of this poor stranded F-35B Lightning fighter jet can be done back to its own place on the basis of Royal Air Force. I have my colleague Ashwin joining us live on the broadcast, who has been tracking the story since morning. Ashwin, what's the latest we have in terms of the inputs that we are tracking on the F-35B that has been stranded in Thiruvananthapuram?
Well, good evening, Kritat. In fact, it looks like this jet is going to be staying in Kerala for a few more days and enjoying the rain and the weather over here. Because what we are picking up from our sources is that around of the 31 engineers who have come down, 14 are staying back, and they'll be staying back in the city, and which essentially means that in the coming few days, they will be looking at possibility of repairing it in the hangar which has been provided by the Indian authorities, and further to which, if they are able to do it, then this flight is likely to take off from Thiruvananthapuram Airport by itself and go and be part of its mothership, which is the the Prince of Wales, which is right now in Singapore. So that is the first situation. We while we were watching what was happening, we kind of got an understanding that the weapon system of the F-35, while it was taken to the hangar, has been also taken away. So they were under the belly of it. Before it was there, this flight, these weapons were there. So it is likely that a military aircraft came, because we saw with our eyes that some loads of things were being they were loaded into this flight before it took off, the A400 Atlas 400, which came here. So, Kritat, what we can definitely be safe to say is that the jet is going to be in Kerala for the next few more days. We are getting to understand that 14 crew members are going to be staying in the city. We are trying to track which hotel they are staying in. We'll be keeping all those information, and we'll be looking at it. And we'll also try to get some updates from them as well.
Yes.
But essentially, Kritat, F-35 will be here in Kerala enjoying the weather.
That's the latest input coming in from Thiruvananthapuram. Thank you very much, Ashwin, for tracking those details. A few more days, perhaps, in the God's own country for the F-35B with 14 compatriots in town. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, a lot more breaking news updates coming in on the other side of a very short break, because coming up next on Live and Breaking is India's largest medical scam busted by the CBI. Crores in bribes and top officials and even a godman involved. Also coming up on Live and Breaking, Elon Musk has announced a new political party in America, calling it America Party. Says the objective is to give back people's freedoms to them. What does this mean? All only on Live and Breaking when we come right back after the short break.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
After the massive success of Operation Sindoor, which underlined India's dominance in the skies, another story is quietly unfolding within the Indian Air Force. This one will multiply the Indian Air Force's punch and add more firepower to one of its most advanced fighter jets, the Sukhoi 30 MKI. And
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. A massive controversy is now emerging in Karnataka with Siddaramaia's aide asking people to choose between either guarantee schemes or development in the state. Now, Union Minister Prahlad Joshi has hit out against the Siddaramaiah government, saying that the state government is going bankrupt. He has even accused the Karnataka government of not giving any proper guarantees and said that no developmental work is taking place in the state and whatever is happening instead is going in the hands of corruption and is happening under the Siddaramaiah government's watch. Those are sensational allegations being made by Union Minister of the BJP, Prahlad Joshi, against Siddaramaiah government after his own very close aide has asked the people to choose either between development of Karnataka or Congress's guarantees promised in the election manifesto. Let's listen in.
ಸರಿ ಮಾಡೋಣ, ಅಕ್ಕಿ ಬೇಡ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಬೇಡ್ರಿ, ಹಳ್ಳಿ ರಸ್ತೆ ಮಾಡ್ರಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸಿದ್ದರಾಮಯ್ಯಗೆ ಸಲಹೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡ್ತೇನೆ, ನಮ್ ಜನ ಬೇಡ ಅಂತಾರ್ರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ, ನಿನ್ ಹೆಸರು ಹಾಕಿ ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾನು ಮುಂದಿನ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅರ್ಜಿ ತಡಿ, ಇನ್ನು 3 ವರ್ಷ ಐತೆ, ಹಳ್ಳಿ ರಸ್ತೆ ಮಾಡ್ಸೋಣ. ಇವೇನಾಗಿದೆ, ಈ ರೋಡ್ ಡಾಂಬರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಕಷ್ಟ. ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ರಸ್ತೆಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಅದಾವ, ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟ, ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ.
बसवराज राय रेड्डी जी ने जो स्टेटमेंट दिया, फाइनेंशियल एडवाइजर ऑफ मिस्टर सिद्धरामैया, आर्थिक सलाहकार जो स्टेटमेंट दिया है, अगर आपके गांव में, आपके तहसील में अगर आप सड़क चाहते हैं तो आप लोग गारंटी नहीं चाहिए करके ऐसे लिख दो। कल इधर भी एक MLA स्टेटमेंट दिया है, हमने आपको गारंटी दिया इसलिए हम सड़क वगैरह नहीं बना सकते हैं। तो ऐसे स्टेटमेंट बहुत लोग दिया है। इधर कागी जी दिया है, कागवाड़ MLA, और NY गोपाल कृष्णा, स्वयं गृह मंत्री, राज्य के गृह मंत्री ने बोला है कि हमारे पास पैसा नहीं है, केंद्र सरकार के पास पूछो क्योंकि हमने गारंटी दिया है। ये सब देखते हुए मुझे लगता है पूरा बैंकरप्ट हो गया है और ठीक तरह से गारंटी भी नहीं दे रहा है, सड़क भी नहीं बन रहा है, डेवलपमेंट काम भी नहीं हो रहा है, सिर्फ भ्रष्टाचार, तो एकदम खूब भ्रष्टाचार हो रहा है।
ये जो महाराष्ट्र में दोनों भैया मिला हुआ है, इसका अवसर बीजेपी ने करवा दिया, उसके लिए Will it change the political scenario?
महाराष्ट्र के बारे में, महाराष्ट्र के जो उधर के पार्टी के लोग हैं, स्वयं देवेंद्र जी, द मोस्ट पॉपुलर लीडर इन दी महाराष्ट्र एज ऑन डे, एंड उसके बारे में ये दोनों भाई कब तक एकजुट रहेंगे ये भी देखेंगे बाद में। लेकिन तो लोग अपने, जब सब खो जाता है तो अस्तित्व बचा के रखने के लिए कभी कभी एक हो जाता है।
Meanwhile, after being put in a fix by his own party men and their statement yet again, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah was forced to come out in public and publicly contradict his party leaders yet again. This time he says there is no chance of changing Congress's guarantee. Listen in.
ತರ ಇದೆ ನೋಡ್ತೀನಿ,
ಸರ್ ರಾಯ್ ರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅವರು
ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರಸ್ತೆ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸರ್. ರಾಯರೆಡ್ಡಿ ಅವರು ನಿನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿಕೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ರಸ್ತೆ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಗಳು ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿಗಳನ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಬಿಡಿ, ನಾನು ಸಿಎಂ ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ.
ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಯೋಜನೆಗಳು ಬಡವರು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಜಾತಿ ಬಡವರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು, ಅವು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ತುಂಬತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು. ಅವನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಈ ಸಾರಿ ಪ್ರತಿ MLAಗೆ ರಸ್ತೆಗಳಿಗೆ, ಬ್ರಿಡ್ಜ್ಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ, ಗ್ರಾಮೀಣ ರಸ್ತೆಗಳು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಣ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಎಲ್ಲ MLAಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, BJP MLAಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, JDS MLAಗಳಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
ಸರ್, ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೋಮುಗಲಭೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸರ್.
ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ನಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಕೇಳ್ತೀನಿ.
Coming up next on Live and Breaking, Prime Minister Narendra Modi extends wishes to Dalai Lama on his 90th birthday with Union Minister Kiren Rijiju in attendance. Is this going to stir up another conflict with China? Also coming up, Elon Musk has now announced a new political party in America called America Party. He says his objective is to give people their freedom back. Where is the Trump and Musk saga headed? All that and more coming up next on Live and Breaking with This Is Exclusive on the other side. Stay tuned.
In the India Today Best Universities Survey, India's #1 ranked universities in various streams are JNU Delhi, Amity University, AIMS Delhi, IIT Delhi and National Law School Bengaluru.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप MDH का जल जीरा सिप।
इसको घर पे लगाओगे तो शादी का तो पता नहीं, पर घर पक्का नहीं टूटेगा।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
पहाड़ों में एक हाइकिंग स्टिक भी बन सकती है।
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
MDH।
After the massive success of Operation Sindoor, which underlined India's dominance in the skies, another story is quietly unfolding within the Indian Air Force. This one will multiply the Indian Air Force's punch and add more firepower to what...
MDH की देगी मीरज,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मीरज। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
After the massive success of Operation Sindoor, which underlined India's dominance in the skies, another story is quietly unfolding within the Indian Air Force. This one will multiply the Indian Air Force's punch and add more firepower to one of its most advanced fighter jets, the Sukhoi 30 MKI, and make it more lethal for our adversaries. The Sukhoi Su-30 MKI.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Hi there, good evening and welcome to this Sunday edition of This is Exclusive, in which we're going to focus on the strange silence of the global community on the Dalai Lama's birthday. Remember, it is his 90th today, and except for United States, India and Taiwan, nobody has spoken. Are they so scared of the Chinese? This is our focus. Former Prime Minister of the Tibetan government in exile, Lobsang Sangha, and India's former Foreign Secretary Kamal Sibal joining us on the other side of the headlines. Royal Navy's F35B stealth fighter out to a hangar. Team of British technicians in India to repair the jet. Jamaat group moves court-seeking ban against film Udaipur files on the gruesome murder of Taylor Kanhaiya Lal. Family and producers gather support for this at the spiritual leader Dhirendra Shastri's event. India's largest medical scam busted by CBI. Crores in bribes, top officials and a godman involved. Prime Minister Modi in Brazil to attend BRICS summit. Trump's tariff likely to be the top focus. And Elon Musk announces a new political party, namesake America Party. Says objective to give back people's freedom to them. Welcome back, friends. Today, the world paused to honor a global beacon of peace and compassion. His Holiness, the 14th Dalai Lama, as he celebrates his 90th birthday. From the serene hills of Dharamshala to international gatherings, thousands are uniting to mark this milestone with prayers, tributes, and reflections on his timeless teachings of non-violence and unity.
The world is celebrating the 90th birthday of Tibetan spiritual leader, the 14th Dalai Lama. And a celebration event was organized in Himachal Pradesh's Dharamshala. From top politicians to Hollywood celebrities in attendance, the celebratory event was witnessed by the entire world. Hollywood actor and practicing Buddhist Richard Gere also received blessings from the 14th Dalai Lama.
A joyous day to celebrate this extraordinary life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And also the presence of all the extraordinary people here in the spiritual community, secular community, all these wonderful diplomats and representatives from around the world come here to pay their respects to one of the most extraordinary people who have ever walked on this planet.
Addressing the event, Union Minister of Minority Affairs Kiran Rijiju lauded the Tibetan spiritual leader and called him a living bridge between ancient wisdom and modern world.
Your Holiness, you are more than a spiritual leader. You are a living bridge between ancient wisdom and the modern world. For over 7 decades, you have carried the light of Buddha's teachings with humility and clarity, guiding not only followers of Tibetan Buddhism, but people of all faith and backgrounds towards a more compassionate and ethical way of life.
Following by Rijiju's address, Union Minister Lallan Singh highlighted that the multidisciplinary center based on the Nalanda tradition is being built in Bodh Gaya to promote the fusion of Tibetan and Indian ancient wisdom.
आप वर्तमान और भविष्य की पीढ़ियों को विवेक, ज्ञान और अहिंसा के मार्ग पर चलने के लिए प्रेरित करते रहे.
Tenzin Gyatso, the 14th Dalai Lama, has been living in exile since he fled Chinese rule in Tibet in 1959. He also said that the next Dalai Lama should be found and recognized as per past Buddhist traditions, blocking Beijing's interference in Tibet's religious matters. China, which views the 14th Dalai Lama as a separatist, has repeatedly said that it alone has the authority to approve the next spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism.
All right, welcoming on this broadcast, Mr. Lobsang Sangay, former president of the Central Tibetan Administration, the government in exile of Tibet, and Tibetans also Kanwal Sibbal, former foreign secretary of the government of India. To you first, Mr. Sangay, and an important landmark occasion today, 90th birthday of the Dalai Lama, and comes amidst the announcement that he has made that his successor would be decided by a trust he had set up, and that it would be, or the successor would be, from outside China.
Yes, today is 90th birthday of His Holiness Dalai Lama, and Tibetans and Buddhists around the world, including inside Tibet, are celebrating. I'm here in Toronto, and we're about to celebrate His Holiness' birthday. Wish him long and very healthy life. Yes, and the Chinese government, is trying to come with laws which is corrupt, come with president which is again, never used or was also corrupt, to say that they will choose a successor. But His Holiness is very, very clear. It is for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to decide, because it's his reincarnation. So the idea is that the chelas will ask for the guru to come back. For 14 years, from the Russian republics to Mongolia to Tibet to Himalayan region and all over the world, have appealed and prayed to His Holiness that all the chelas would like the guru to come back, and His Holiness has blessed all the chelas and followers that yes, my reincarnation will come back and the institution of Dalai Lama will continue, and it will be handled by Ganden Podang. This is 600 years old institution. We must know that. Yeah. We call it trust because it's registered in India. That's why we call it trust. Otherwise, it's a legitimate institution of Dalai Lama. It's called Ganden Podang, which will handle it. And Chinese government has no role whatsoever, because no chela of His Holiness is asking Chinese government to do anything about Dalai Lama. In fact, they're saying, don't touch. You have no right to interfere. So His Holiness has made a great decision, and we are elated that the institution of Dalai Lama is to continue, and we are very grateful. Today he celebrated in India, and the Union Ministers and Chief Minister of Arunachal and others have participated and made it a grand event.
Yeah, Mr. Sibbal, to you now, and the fact that 2 Union Ministers were present at the ceremony of marking the birthday of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, the fact that 2 Chief Ministers were also present there, it's a statement of sorts by India, you think?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, especially as the Chief Minister of Arunachal Pradesh and Kiran Rijiju himself from Arunachal Pradesh, they attended the ceremony. And of course, they knew that on his 90th birthday, the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, was going to make some announcement with regard to his successor. So, because he had said that earlier. So the context in which they attended was politically even more sensitive for the Chinese government because this was the occasion on which the Dalai Lama would make that announcement regarding his successor.
Yeah.
So it's clear that, and then as was rightly said earlier on, we had ministers from the Union government attending this ceremony, as well as our Prime Minister sending a message on this occasion. All this is, from the Chinese point of view, political, and I'm glad that we have sent that political message. And with regard to the successor, the choosing of the successor, His Holiness had made several statements earlier about the process to be followed, whether it will be the new Dalai Lama would be within, outside the borders of China, whether it could be here or there. So that thing has been left open as yet about where the new Dalai Lama reincarnation would be located. One hopes that it will be in Arunachal Pradesh and in India. that will send a strong message. And finally, I'd like to say that the Chinese government, as was rightly said by Mr. Lobsang Sangye, whom I know personally well, that China has no role in it. It is militarily occupying Tibet. It has denied Tibet its cultural and its civilizational rights. And this is part of the Tibetan culture and Tibetan civilization and Tibetan religion.
So, but
why should the communist state actually seek to interfere in the cultural and religious affairs, even if it is they consider this as part of its population?
Yeah, but you think, sir, that the Chinese have succeeded in sort of browbeating the rest of the world community to toe their line? Because apart from India's official participation, we have seen statements or official statements coming in only from the United States and Taiwan.
Well, I am not aware of the background, whether when His Holiness turned 80, whether there were birthday messages from other parts of the globe. Insofar as the 90th birthday is concerned, it has significance in the context of the fact that he was to announce something with regard to his successor. But otherwise, 90th birthday is 90th birthday. So if there was no precedent, then other countries would not necessarily, at the official level, send a message. But I'm sure that there are lots of messages that have come from non-official sources, from religious bodies, from the Tibetan communities, those who believe in Tibetan freedoms and this and that. Some statements may have come from political leaders in their personal capacity. I'm not aware of that, but I'm not surprised that they have not taken this occasion to send personal messages to His Holiness. If they had, it would have been wonderful.
Yeah, Mr. Sangye, are you getting reports of any festivities, celebrations from inside Tibet, or you think China has succeeded in repressing those?
Never. I think Chinese government never succeed in, repressing Tibetans to the extent that they will not celebrate His Holiness birthday. In various monasteries around the world, I'm pretty sure there'll be large gathering of monks and praying for the long life of His Holiness Dalai Lama. And in many lay people from villages to villages go to the mountaintop and, burn incense and a prayer for long life for His Holiness Dalai Lama. Obviously, they will not display the portrait of His Holiness because that's banned. Otherwise, they will be celebrating in many forms, and that has always been the case. Now, regarding your question about statements from other countries, in fact, in the European Parliament, there is a resolution tabled and a statement was issued. A Japanese Parliament has done that, and many other parliamentarians, in various countries have issued statements. So, yes, United States have issued a statement, and with 2 union ministers in Dharamsala, it's a clear message of Indian government on the reincarnation and towards His Holiness Dalai Lama. And His Holiness himself says he's a proud son of India because rice and dal that he had eaten so far, and the Nalanda tradition has helped him with his wisdom. So to see that India embracing His Holiness is just a natural evolution of their relationship, which is beautiful.
Right, absolutely. And hope and pray that we do not get into a situation where China imposes its own Dalai Lama and we have to. Thank you so much on that note, Mr. Lobsang Sangye joining us from Canada and Mr. Sibbal joining us from London. Moving on and staying with the festivities of Dalai Lama's 98th birthday in Delhi's Majnu Ka Tila. The Tibetan community is alive with joy, celebrating the 90th birthday and with prayers, cultural performances and heartfelt tributes. Take a look.
It is a big day today as I stand at Delhi's Majnu Ka Tila Tibetan colony, and people here, the Tibetan community, are celebrating the 90th